वसिष्ठं शक्तिं च तत्पुत्रपराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तं गोविन्दयोगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यं श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमथास्य पद्मपादं च तन्तोटकं वार्तिककारमन्यान् अस्मद्गुरून् सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि। भगवद्गीता अध्याय 2 श्लोक 52। यदा ते मोहकलिलं बुद्धिर्व्यतितरिष्यति तदा गन्तासि निर्वेदम् श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च। Karma Yoga gives rise to Chitta Shuddhi, removes the impurities of mind, when the impurities of mind are removed, one gets Vairagya. Vairagya is one of the indications of Chitta Shuddhi. So when can one say that Karma Yoga has worked? What is the indication to show that the Karma Yoga has successfully brought about Chitta Shuddhi? One of the best indications is Vairagya. श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च निर्वेदं गन्तासि. Gantasi, you will get. Gantasi means you will get, indicating that Arjuna has not yet got it. That is why Bhagavan is asking Arjuna to perform Karma Yoga. Now you do karma. Karmanyevadhikaraste. Now you have adhikara in karma. Na jnani. Na jnananisthaya. And if you perform Karma Yoga, in due course of time, Nirvedam Gantasi, you will get Nirveda. Nirveda means no Veda. It is not so. Nirveda does not mean no Veda. Nirveda means Vairagya. Vairagyam Gantasi. You will get Vairagya. Vairagya from what? Shrotavyasya Shrutasya cha. Shrutam and Shrotavyam. The objects that are already heard about, the objects that are already known, and also the objects that you will hear about in future. Shrotavya. Both, towards both, you will have vairagya. The sense objects, and when I say sense objects, it includes various position also. All ambitions, all expectations, all that one can become in this world, including Hiranyagarbha, including the position of Hiranyagarbha. One should have vairagya. That is when you can say that he or she is qualified, really qualified for Brahma Vidya. So when does it happen? When does one get vairagya? Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishyati. When yada te buddhihi, your buddhi, your mind, moha kalilam vyatitarishyati, it crosses over the impurity of moha, transcends the impurity of moha, transcend the impurity of aviveka. Moha means aviveka. Aviveka means opposite of viveka. Viveka means a clear understanding of what an object can offer to me. What an object can offer to me. I should have a clear understanding. What it can offer and what it cannot offer. If I know it, it is viveka. The material objects, can they give me permanent happiness? Can they give me permanent security? Most often I think they can. But unfortunately, the objects themselves are impermanent. The objects themselves are variables. And the variable can never become constant. Our life goes in expecting constant from the variables. In mathematics, there is a variable v. And constant c. The whole life goes in finding constant in the variables. and sometimes we try to convert the variables into constants. But unfortunately, variables are variables. They can never become constant. What is a variable and what is a constant? We think variables are constants. That is aviveka. Moha. So the moha goes. The buddhi transcends moha. It is chitta shuddhi. And it is the result of karma yoga for a very long time. When one performs karma yoga for a very long time, slowly the aviveka disappears. The moha disappears. And one gets viveka and vairagya. Then you can say that he is qualified for Atmajnana. Then jnana is not difficult to get. Therefore, yada te buddhi moha kalilam vyatitarishyati tada shrotavyasya shrutasya cha nirvedangantasi. Then you get vairagya, and vairagya is an indication of chitta shuddhi. So karma yoga leads to vairagya, viveka and vairagya. Therefore, performing karma yoga is worth the effort. So, let's go through the bhashya. Yoganusthana janita sattva shuddhija buddhihi kada prapyate ityuchyate. Yoganusthana janita sattva shuddhija buddhihi. Buddhihi means jnana. In the Moola, buddhi does not mean jnana. Buddhi means antahkarana. Whereas here it is jnana. The jnana is a result of sattva shuddhi. Therefore, sattva shuddhija buddhihi. The buddhi that comes through sattva shuddhi. And to get sattva shuddhi, one should perform yoga, karma yoga. Therefore, karma yoga anusthana janita sattva shuddhi. By means of karma yoga, one gets sattva shuddhi, and by means of sattva shuddhi, one gets jnana. When will one get jnana? Kada prapyate. The buddhi. When can one get the buddhi? Iti uchyate. This is being said. This is being explained in following two shlokas. In this shloka, Bhagavan talks about sattva shuddhi. as a result of karma yoga. And in the following shloka, he talks about jnana, which comes as a result of sattva shuddhi. Yada yasmin kale te tava mohakalilam mohatmakam avivekarupam kalushyam yena atmanatma vivekabodham kalushikritya vishayam prati antahkaranam pravartate tat tava buddhihi vyatitarishyati vyatikramishyati शुद्धिभावम् आपत्स्यते इत्यर्थः तदा तस्मिन् काले गन्तासि प्राप्स्यसि निर्वेदं वैराग्यं श्रोतव्यस्य श्रुतस्य च तदा श्रोतव्यं श्रुतं च निष्फलं प्रतिपद्यते इत्यभिप्रायः। यदा यदा इज इक्वल टू यस्मिन् काले। So yada is equal to yasmin kale, at which time. Te is equal to tava. Te is tava, shashti vibhakti of yushmad shabda, and te should be connected with the buddhihi. It will come later. See, tava buddhihi later on. So te he will bring later on tava and connect it there. Mohakalilam. Mohakalilam is equal to mohatmakam kalushyam. Kalushyam. Kalilam means kalushyam. Mohaha eva kalilam mohakalilam. Karmadharaya samasa. Kalilam is equal to kalushyam, impurity, and the impurity is mohatmakam. It is in the form of moha. Mohaha atma swarupam yasya tad mohatmakam. Its nature is moha, means it is moha. Mohatmakam means in the form of moha. Mohatmakam is equal to aviveka rupam, which is in the form of moha, aviveka. And he describes the moha, how moha serves as an impurity, how moha can be called an impurity. Bhashyakara explains, yena atmanatma viveka bodham kalushikritya vishayam prati antahkaranam pravartate. This statement explains how moha is impurity. Yena, because of which आत्मानात्म विवेक बोधम कलुषीकृत्य, the atmanatma viveka bodha means jnana, atmanatma viveka rupa bodha, atmanatma vivekah eva bodha, bodha which is in the form of a clear understanding of the distinction of atma and anatma. The jnana is atmanatma viveka bodha. So, moha blocks the atmanatma viveka. Atmanatma viveka bodham kalushikritya, blocking the atmanatma viveka bodha. As long as aviveka is there, as long as moha is there, one does not even think of getting Atmajnana. The mind is blocked from going towards Atmajnana. Even if someone says, there is Atmajnana, come, we will listen, the mind is pulled away from Atmajnana. Kalushikritya. And where does the mind is led to? Vishayam prati antahkaranam pravartate. The antahkaranam goes towards Vishaya. Vishayam prati. Vishaya means sense objects. The antahkarana goes towards sense objects. tat tava buddhi vyatitarishyati. Tat kalushyam, that kalushya, that impurity, tava buddhi, your buddhi, yada vyatitarishyati, when it crosses over, when it transcends. Vyatitarishyati is equal to vyatikramishyati. When it crosses, when it transcends the impurity of moha, implying shuddhi bhavam apachyate ityarthaha. Yada tava buddhi shuddhi bhavam apachyate. When your buddhi becomes pure, attains shuddhi bhava, attains purity, when you get chitta shuddhi, tada, then tada is equal to tasmin kale. Gantasi is equal to prapsyasi. You will attain what? Nirvedam. Nirvedam is equal to vairagyam. You will get vairagya. Shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. Vairagya towards shrotavya as well as shruta. Towards things that you might heard later on as well as things that you have already heard. Tada shrotavyam shrutancha nishphalam pratipadyate ityabhiprayaha. Tada, then shrotavyam and shrutam, what you have already heard and what you are going to hear, both will become nishphala. Both will seem useless, meaningless. Nishphalam pratipadyate. All all enjoyments in life, all desirable objects seem meaningless when the Vairagya dawns. The career, family, wealth, honor, prizes and awards and rewards, everything look meaningless when one gets Vairagya. Everything seem insignificant. Then one feels, I want only Atmajnana. That is how one gets pulled towards Atmajnana. At any cost, I want Atmajnana. Everything else is meaningless in front of Atmajnana. That is why people leave so many things in the world and come to Atmajnana. They give up their highly paid job. They give up their family. They give up all their possessions and go for Atmajnana. Because all that looks meaningless. Because they know that this cannot give anything permanent. All this gives only limited seeming happiness for a while. So that is tada shrotavyam shrutancha nishphalam pratipadyate. Everything becomes nishphala, futile, meaningless. That is why many people come and say, I have everything. Some people come from America, some people come from Europe, some people come from Australia. They all say, all that is meaningless in front of moksha, in front of Atmajnana. I want only moksha, therefore I want Atmajnana. That is why so many people seriously pursue Vedanta, in spite of all their accomplishments in life. So then, in addition to Vairagya, he also gets Mumukshutva. As one of the authors describes, Deepta Shira Jalarashimiva. Deepta Shiraha. His head is burning and he is searching for a Jalarashi, where I can extinguish the burning fire on my head. In that manner, he seeks Atmajnana. It is the intense thirst for Atmajnana. That is called Jijnasa. When there is Vairagya, there will be Mumukshutva. I want moksha. And Mumukshutva has to be converted into jijnasa. Some people might have mumukshutva, but the mumukshutva is not jijnasa. That is another problem. They want moksha, but they don't want jnana. Can I get moksha without jnana? It is not possible. Because jnana is the means for moksha. Always the desire for the end and the desire for the means should go together. If someone has desire for the end, but he does not have love for the means, then it is a problem. This gentleman, this boy wants to get good marks in 10th exam, but he doesn't want to study. He has a desire for good marks, but he does not want to study. There is a desire for a goal, an end, but no desire for the means. Therefore, he won't be able to accomplish the end. If one has mumukshutva, he should cultivate a jijnasa, desire for jnana. He should have intense thirst for Atmajnana. I want Atmajnana. And then he seeks Atmajnana from a guru. And then he listens to Vedanta Upadesha for a length of time. And in due course of time, after considerable length of exposure to the teaching, he gets Atmajnana. Initially, it might be a pratibadha jnana, an understanding with certain obstacles. Pratibadha jnana. But in due course of time, through proper Shavana, Manana and Nididhyasana, he has to remove the pratibandha. He removes the asambhavana. There are two types of asambhavana. What are the two types of asambhavana? Pramana asambhavana and prameya asambhavana. Pramana asambhavana or pramana shanka. He is not sure whether the purport of Vedanta is Advaita or is it something else. He has doubt regarding the purport of Vedanta. What really the Vedanta has to convey. Is it same as what this guru teaches? Or is it something different from that? What he has heard from someone else? Because before coming here, he has listened to someone else. He has said something else. He might have pramana shanka, pramana asambhavana. And pramana asambhavana has to be removed by the process of tatparya nirnayaha, ascertaining the purport of Vedanta, which is called Shravana. Shravanena pramana asambhavana nivrittihi. As a result of Shravana, he is very clear. Vedanta conveys Jiva Brahma Aikya. I am Brahman. Vedanta is not ambiguous for him. This is the message of Vedanta. You are Brahman. I am Brahman. But then there can be prameya asambhavana. Vedanta says I am Brahman. But is it logically tenable? Because before coming to Vedanta, he was having certain other conclusions about himself as well as about the world, based on other means of knowledge, based on pratyaksha and other means of knowledge. He has arrived at his own conclusions. I am limited. Jagat is real. Me and Brahman are different. He has other conclusions. Now, when he hears you are Brahman, Advaita, he gets a doubt. It contradicts my previous conclusions. I am an intelligent being. I have arrived at certain conclusions with my own rational faculty, using my own reasonings, based on my pratyaksha pramana and all reasonings. I have certain conclusions. Now Vedanta contradicts. And my previous conclusions are very much logical according to me, because I am a highly rational being. Then I have a doubt. Is the teaching of Vedanta logically correct? Is it logically tenable? Or is it illogical? This is my doubt. No, there is a gap between my previous conclusion and Vedanta. The gap has to be removed. with the help of proper reasoning, I should understand that the vision conveyed by Vedanta is not illogical. Advaita is not illogical. This has to be understood with the help of proper reasoning. It is called manana. So, prameya asambhavana means the doubt that Vedanta is illogical. Whether Vedanta is logical or not, this doubt. The teaching of Vedanta, Advaita, which is the prameya, whether it is logically tenable or not. The question regarding the logical tenability of the teaching of Vedanta, it should be resolved with the help of mananam, proper reasoning. So, Shravana and Manana together dispel asambhavana. Then one more pratibandha is possible, viparita bhavana. Viparita bhavana means the habitual orientations. Now, with the help of Shravana and Manana, I am convinced, aham brahmasmi. I have no doubt about it. There is no asambhavana. There is no doubt about the fact aham brahmasmi. But then there is another problem. I know I am Brahman, but it is not available to me all the time. Because at the time of Vyavahara, my previous orientations, they overpower my jnana. My habitual ways of thinking overpower my jnana. This can be understood with an example. Suppose you are staying in a particular room in the ashrama. Say room number 60. You are staying in room number 60. Is there anyone? No. 60. Okay, yeah. So, for 30 years, this person is staying in room number 60. Every day, he goes and opens room number 60. Every day, 3 times minimum. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. After breakfast, he goes and opens room number 60. After lunch, he goes and opens room number 60. And after dinner, he goes and opens room number 60. 3 times a day. So this had been done 30 years. So 30 into Uh, 365 into 3. How many? Calculator? Yeah. How many times he has walked to that room? Minimum. That many times. So it has become a very strong habit to walk to the same room, room number 60. Even if his eyes are closed, he can go to that place. That much of habit it has formed. But then one day he had to move to another room. Instead of room number 60, he shifted to room number 61, just adjacent room. In 60, someone else has come. He moved to 61. Even then, what happens? Next day, he knows very well that he has shifted. He has moved from one room number 60 to room number 61. It is not that he is ignorant of this fact. But after next day, the following day, after breakfast, after eating idli and sambar and chutney, he goes, in spite of all his knowledge, he goes and tries to open room number 60. And then when someone else is there in the room, he finds another person in the room, then he realizes his mistake. Oh, now I am not 60, I am 61. Then he realizes and he goes to 61. This is habitual orientation. In spite of knowing very well that he lives in 61, now the habitual orientation takes him to 60. It is a habit that has formed over the years. It has formed, and it is not easy to erase. It will take time. After a few months, he will get used to going to 61. Sometimes he may make mistake also, but sometimes before knocking the door, he will understand. Okay, now I have to go to 61. And sometimes he will have to remind himself, no, now mine is 61. So with all this, in due course of time, he changes his habit. A new habit has to form so that it overpowers the old habit. Until the new habit forms and the new habit is strengthened, the old habit will continue to drive him to room number 60. Likewise, even in our mind, we have our habitual ways of thinking, our habitual way of identifying. I am an individual. The world is real. All habitual ways of identification and the thoughts that spring out of our habitual ways of identification. When I say I am an individual, I am limited, I am miserable, I need support, all these are the habitual thinkings born of our habitual ways of identification. And these habitual ways of thinking, they are contradictory to jnana. They are in antagonism with the jnana. They are Vedanta unfriendly thinking, Vedanta unfriendly thoughts, Vedanta unfriendly identifications. It continues to remain because of our habit. And this habit is not formed in a day or two. We have been thinking so for ages, for many janmas, and these habits have been formed in many, many janmas. It is not easy to overpower them, not easy to get rid of them. And these habitual thinkings, they overpower jnana. Despite knowing aham brahmasmi, despite having no doubt about this fact, the habitual thinkings haunt us. And to remove, to erase, to overpower the habitual thoughts, habitual ways of identifications, the habitual orientations, the orientations that are contrary to Vedanta. They are called viparita bhavana. Bhavana, the mental orientations. The way our mind behaves is called bhavana. The habitual ways of thinking that are opposed to Vedanta, opposed to Atmajnana, they are called viparita bhavana. Viparita means opposite. Unfriendly to Vedanta, unhealthy to Vedanta. The bhavanas, the orientations that are opposed to Atmajnana, they are called viparita bhavana. They should be handled overpowered and mitigated to certain extent, so that they don't obstruct Atmajnana. They should not overpower Atmajnana. Instead, Atmajnana should overpower them. Then there is no problem. And how to do it? Nididhyasanam. Nididhyasanena viparita bhavana nivritti. And nididhyasanam is a deliberate practice of abidance in Atmajnana. Deliberately entertain the thoughts that are in alignment with Atmajnana. Aham Brahmasmi. I am free from limitations. I am free from changes. The vision of Atmajnana is entertained in the mind deliberately, so that it counters the habitual thoughts, the Viparita Bhavana. And in due course of time, as a result of Nididhyasanam, the Atmajnana gains strength in the mind. It takes root in the mind. And it becomes more and more easily available. And thereby it overpowers the habitual Viparita Bhavanas. Then the Viparita Bhavana, even if they are there up to certain extent, they cannot overtake Atmajnana. The Atmajnana is firm and it is spontaneously available. Then one can say that he has attained Jnana Nishtha. The Jnana has become Apratibadha. The Jnana is always available. Apratibadha Jnana. It is not obstructed by Asambhavana as well as Viparita Bhavana. When there is Apratibadha Jnana, one enjoys the result of Jnana, which is called Jivan Mukti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.